Hey San Francisco, I'm back. And this time, I brought a friend. I'm so tired. I hate you.
My mission to find the steepest paved street in the world has brought me all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Dunedin, New Zealand. If there's one thing I've learned when it comes to steep streets, size matters. To prove this, today I'm riding up 6 of San Francisco's steepest streets, starting with the shortest and ending with an absolute monster that my friend EJ claims is, you guessed it, the steepest street in the world. I've heard that before. The first and shortest of today's climbs is Baker Street. Less than 200 feet long, this street has a constant gradient of 36.4%. That is steeper than Baldwin Street.
350 meters, and at her steepest gradient, 34.8 degrees.
I had only ever ridden shorter streets up to that point. I underestimated how hard it would be to sustain the power necessary to climb Baldwin. And well, that didn't turn out so well. Of course, when I was here a year ago for the last video, Baker also presented its own challenge.
I'm gonna have to start on the incline. We'll see what happens.
Without being here, it's impossible to feel how steep the start of this climb is. Looking at a two-dimensional picture or video just doesn't give you the sense of depth that you need to appreciate how steep 36% is. Luckily, 2 of my friends, EJ and Cole, are with me today, so we have a fresh perspective of this street.
I mean, I hike hills, but... Well, I watched a video, was it 2 nights ago? And we're like, oh, we're gonna do this street, but this is kind of crazy. Like, it's straight up, like, and there's nowhere to start.
Mitch's video does it no justice. I think Insta360 does a good job of getting it, like, that's the closest way you can record it. Is with the X4 they have, their new camera, like, that's the closest thing you can get to giving this climb justice because you get that 360 view, but still, in person, it is brutal. Like, I'm legit nervous because I feel like I'm gonna fall over halfway up.
Thank you for the sponsor plugs, EJ. More on Insta360 and their cameras later, but right now, we gotta get up this thing.
Dude, this looks worse than I remember. I don't know how I did it.
While I was freaking out, EJ took one for the team and went first.
There you go. Yeah.
Please, look at his power output. He's putting over 1,000 watts into the pedals. That's enough to power a microwave. That's over a horsepower.
Dude, I'm kind of like, I'm shaking out.
Yeah.
The worst part, oh my God.
Cole is just as strong as EJ.
Nice.
And makes it look easy.
Yeah.
I am not on the same level as these guys. I am genuinely freaking out. Look at my heart rate. It's 175 beats per minute. The only way to calm myself down, to get this adrenaline out of my system, is to just get this thing done.
Get it! You got it.
Oh man, it's so much easier with somebody else.
I think it paused.
No way.
What do you say?
It's paused.
Ouch.
Dude, it was like such a horrible thing in the last video. And now it turns out if you have friends, it's easier.
Friends make life easier.
Nah.
Funny enough, the same construction crew that was at the top of the climb last year when I rode up Baker Street was there again this time. They're still a little camera shy, but we did spend a couple of minutes talking with them about steep streets around the world, including one in Cork, Ireland. I just might have to try out sometime. And that is one of the things I love about this series. I feel like riding up steep streets is one of the few times the general public is actually excited to see a cyclist on the road. As promised, let's talk about the sponsor for this video, Insta360. I get a lot of questions in these videos about how I mount my camera, specifically my Insta360 camera, to my bike. You've waited a long time. I think we're this is the 6th video in the series. I actually use the Insta360 seat post mount, and I put it in my drops on the right side here. Now that does kind of make it hard to put my hands in the drops, but this is the most stable mount I've found for the 360 camera. Attached to the mount is a carbon fiber selfie stick, and that's how I get shots like this, and this, and this.
I feel a little better. Good for you.
Now, most of the time when I'm riding with other people, I don't use this mount. It's basically a jousting pole, but I'm very comfortable riding with EJ. He's a very competent rider. Cole, you know, I just met him today, so if I accidentally joust him.
I like the kit.
Thank you.
Very nice.
You won it. I like yours.
You won it? Where'd you win it?
Oh, well, you're not doing what you're doing. I won it.
Wait, you're Cole.
I'm cool.
You, man.
Because you're gonna see a bunch of influencers post about this giveaway, including EJ Trains. And the last thing I want is one of his followers to win this stuff when it should be one of you.
What makes it worse is that you guys are like actually friends. Like you're gonna be.
He's like in my wedding.
He's in. Yeah. Yeah, something's fishy.
I really love using the Insta360 X4 because you can change the camera angle. With one camera, I can get several different shots, which is really useful when you're doing something like suffering up a climb. The last thing you want to do is film the climb all over again. The other camera I'm using today is the Insta360 Ace Pro. I've got it mounted to the chest strap. That's also where I put my microphone. I sync up the audio between these cameras using my editing software. Occasionally I forget to turn on this mic, and I've been pleasantly surprised with the quality of the audio that I get from the Insta360 cameras, especially the Ace Pro.
Well, you don't have to put this in, but Mitch's 1 minute power and 30-second power is better than mine watt per kilowatt. He is stronger than he lets on. He plays this character of not being strong, but it's all for the YouTubes. This guy can smash.
The difference is I have to be fresh. The stars have to align. The tide has to be at the right level, and my nutrition has to be perfect. I've actually considered using it as my main vlogging camera, and since I'm literally about to head out on a bike trip to Europe, like I'm about to go to the airport, I think I'll use it to vlog. If you want to get your own Insta360 camera, there's a link in the description. And I gotta say, I'm really grateful for Insta360. They have supported this series pretty much from the start, like episode 2. The only reason I'm able to afford to make these videos, because it's expensive to fly other places, is because of Insta360. So thank you for sponsoring the video. And if you purchase through the links, that helps support the channel, helps me make more of these videos. So thank you.
So we've made it to the next street, quote unquote street. As you can see, it's kind of just a sidewalk. Mitch has done this one before. The name of it is Broderick Street. You know a little bit of history about these streets, right? They were.
Yeah, they're called paper streets because they're really only streets on paper, as you can see. Apparently, this is what I don't get. Before cars, they would use this as an actual street. Like people would be pulling, you know, carts up. I don't know if they did horse and buggy. Not right here, but about halfway up, you'll see in the video as we're suffering. If you ignore our heaving for a second, you'll see on the ground, there's little like grid lines. And that was to give extra traction to all like the wagon wheels going up this. So we really have no excuse.
It's about a 30-second effort, but it is full gas. It averages around 30% and pitches up to, what's the pitch on this one?
The GPS data says 47%. That's a lie. Based on the stuff I've ridden, I think it gets above 35% here.
So there's some steep pitches. We're all gonna crush it. We're gonna give it a go. You ready?
Yeah.
I offered to go first this time so the big boys could have time to recover.
You will notice some discrepancies between the elevation map here on the right and the grade on the left. That is because this grade is the GPS data, which is notoriously inaccurate. I did my best with the elevation maps, but the truth is finding accurate data is pretty tough. So neither is perfect, but it does give you an idea of what we're climbing up.
I got up in 32 seconds with an average of 758 watts. At my weight of 163 pounds or 74 kilos, that's just over 10.2 watts per kg. Not too shabby, depending on who you compare yourself to. 2 notes. Number 1, because I know this is going to come up, the heart rate strap EJ uses is super delayed. These efforts, especially at the start of the video, are so short it doesn't even start recording in time for half of them. You can just kind of ignore that part of his data. Number 2, can we just appreciate Cole as the cameraman here? He is almost dropping EJ while EJ is doing over 1200 watts. Absolutely insane.
You guys were cruising.
That was the worst one yet. Oh God.
Was that your first time on this one?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It hurts, but it's only so long.
EJ got a top 5 trophy on that segment with an average of 1,140 watts. At 180 pounds or 82 kilos, that's 13.9 watts per kg. What's even crazier is that Cole put out the same power EJ did, but weighs less than I do. He's 161 pounds, 73 kilos. That's why he started pulling ahead of EJ at the end, despite a similar power output. So now, going forward, as you look at our power output on each of the climbs, you can understand why EJ has to put out more power to go the same speed as Cole. You will also see that I put out less power than both EJ and Cole. There is a very good reason for that. And the reason is I am not as strong as them. The next street is Hyde, and according to some people, it's the first real street of the day because cars can drive on it, which honestly doesn't make sense to me since streets existed long before cars, but that's a story for another day. The Hyde climb has a max grade of 29%, but is much longer than the previous two at over 1,000 feet long or 310 meters. I know, compared to proper mountain climbs, these are tiny, but they are all-out max efforts. Just look at my heart rate here. This is also where things get tricky when you try to define the steepest street, because in the moment, an all-out effort feels like the worst thing you've ever done, even if it isn't. Being subjective is almost impossible in the moment when you're just giving it all you can.
No pictures, please.
Now, of course, no trip to San Francisco would be complete without riding Lombard, the famous street with several switchbacks squeezed into just one block, and luckily, it's right next door. People send me messages about this street, Lombard, all the time, claiming it's the steepest in San Francisco, it's gotta be the steepest in the world, but the truth is Lombard isn't even the steepest street that we traveled on between steep streets that day.
This isn't even one of the efforts.
Just riding across San Francisco requires you to do some serious watts, and most of these streets would be considered the steepest if they were put in another town, but in San Francisco it's just another block at 25%. In fact, the next street, Fillmore, is basically a bunch of those blocks tied together, and that's what makes it so difficult. It's 1,600 feet or 510 meters long, and it lasts for several blocks.
Oh no, man. That wind is crazy, man.
Surprisingly, my legs are starting to feel good. I actually passed Cole on that last street. I don't know if you noticed. I noticed. I'm pretty proud of myself. Maybe I can pass EJ on this one.
Dude, that wind.
This wind today is insane, but so are my legs. They're starting to look pretty good. Maybe these last two hills won't be that bad. Of course, with a segment name like 6 Levels of Hell, maybe I shouldn't get too excited.
Oh man.
This climb is almost 2,000 feet or 600 meters long. It's the longest climb we're gonna do in the city today. I got a little too cocky at the start of this one and tried to interview EJ, but that didn't last long.
So tell me about the history of San Francisco while we go. Thanks, man. That was great.
So how's the warm-up?
I barely felt it.
Now that we're warmed up, it's time for the real test. The next climb, Christmas Tree Hill, is not actually in San Francisco. We gotta go north and cross the Golden Gate Bridge. It's gonna be my first time doing that. I'm pretty excited about it. But EJ has been talking up this hill. This is basically the whole reason for this trip. So I'll let him explain.
Later, nerd.
When I was in junior high school, we used to shuttle up to the top to do mountain bike trails. I think 2 or 3 times we had issues with our car getting stuck because that is how steep this climb is. When I was working with NorCal Cycling, I begged him to make a video up this climb, and he finally reluctantly agreed, and that video went viral because of how gnarly the back half of this climb is. So today we brought our boy Mitch Boyer up here to see if he can make it up. It is about an 8 to 15 minute effort depending on how hard you go. And the back half of the climb is what will kick your butt. There is pitches that say they go above 40%. So we'll let Mitch be the judge of how steep it is.
How do your legs feel? Scale 1 to 10. 9. Wasn't asking you, Cameron.
9. Oh, like 9 is good or 9 is bad? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm like at a 7.
Okay. You got a little bit of juice left.
A little bit.
I've done some longer, steep climbs before. In fact, when I went to Australia and rode with Cam Nichols, he took me on Obi Obi, which was a similarly long, steep climb with a bunch of really intense pitches. I was terrified of Obi Obi, but I made it up. It was horrible, but I survived. I expected Christmas Tree Hill to be basically like Obi Obi.
It is sustained from here to the end.
Okay.
You got about 5 minutes. And this is the part with the 42%.
All right.
Here we go. That's cool. This is the worst part.
Seeing Cole stop there on the fence gave me a mix of emotions. Number 1, yes, I beat Cole. Number 2, oh no, why has he stopped? Number 3, I look up the hill, that's why he stopped. Which led to number 4, I stopped.
Now.
When I'm doing these efforts, I think of something my coach, Ryan Thomas, told me. I'm paraphrasing here, but basically your legs are not going to give out. Your mind gives out before your legs give out. And that's what happened here. And I'd love to say it's the only time it happened on this climb. But even after starting up again, it happened again.
This is worse than Obi Obi in Queensland. This is worse than Baldwin Street in New Zealand. This is horrible. Is this it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Putting my foot down twice on Christmas Tree Hill was not the ending I was hoping for. So, it's not going to be the ending. It's a month later. I'm back in NorCal and I'm 4 days into EJ completely destroying me, ripping my legs off.
Are we having fun today?
So much fun.
I'm pretty fried, to be honest. Like, I've been trying to keep up with EJ and Tyler. They're way faster than me. Today, like, just doing zone 2 power feels horrible. So the thought of going up Christmas Tree Hill again, I don't know why. I asked DJ to take me here. I want to get up without putting my foot down. That's the goal. That's all I have to do. I've turned the power off of my computer, the heart rate off of my computer. All I can see is the miles per hour and how slowly I'm going. And we're off. And I'm just gonna try. Boom. So let's see if I can do this. Watching this, you may be wondering, hey Mitch, why the obsession with size and length with hills? Well, it's just off camera here, but my bags are packed. And in about 30 minutes, I'm headed to the airport to go to Europe. The first half of the trip is going to be fun. I'm riding through the French Alps. The second half of the trip is going to be horrible. I am doing 2 climbs that actually make Christmas Tree Hill look like your grandma's driveway. Posa San Glicente and Scanupia. I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation on both of those, but that's okay because they are going to butcher me. GCN has gone to both of these. Oliver Bridgewood couldn't make it up either of them without putting a foot down. So what chance do I have? 2 secret weapons. Number 1 is in this bag off screen that you cannot see, but I will show you later. Not in this video, but later. Number 2 I will show you, and that was what EJ taught me during his training camp, which is basically a new level of suffering I had never experienced before.
I've never dug this deep before, so.
Hopefully with those 2 things I can survive those 2 insane climbs. But first, can I actually make it up Christmas Tree Hill?
Dude, yes! Yes!
I can't believe I did that.
Are your legs at a 1 now?
Yeah, they're at a 1. Like negative.